What's up, everybody? In today's video, we're going to talk about Damien Echols. He was one of the falsely convicted members of the West Memphis 3. All of the source material is linked in the description below, as well as all of the information you need to be able to follow Damien Echols himself, as well as a link to his Patreon account and a change.org petition to hold the West Memphis police accountable for what they did. So go to the description, click those links, and help support Damien Echols. Now, this first article is from Fox13Memphis.com, and the headline states, Damien Echols petitions the court to use new DNA testing on the West Memphis 3 evidence. Yesterday, Monday, January 24th, 2022, Damien Echols filed a petition to permit new scientific testing of evidence in the case. Specifically, Damien Echols and his legal team would like shoestrings used to tie up the murdered boys to go under MVAC wet vacuum systems testing, a form of DNA testing that was unavailable at the time DNA testing was done in the case. DNA testing, of course, has come around leaps and bounds over the years. There's some people, much like the West Memphis 3, that were in prison when these things weren't available to be done. Some people spent years and years in prison, got exonerated after DNA testing was invented. Damien Echols and his legal team claim authorities told them that some of the evidence was lost in the case, misplaced, and or destroyed by fire. However, in late 2021, Damien Echols' lawyers were invited to survey the remaining evidence in West Memphis when they discovered the shoestrings were still intact. Evidence that Damien Echols' lawyers claim were misfiled by the West Memphis Police Department. How convenient. Evidence that could have stopped all of this from happening, that could have stopped those 3 boys from going to prison, was it just happened to be misplaced. I don't know how it's any question that this evidence should be tested. If the West Memphis police have nothing to hide, if they did nothing wrong, if the prosecution team did nothing wrong, then they should have no problem allowing this evidence to be tested. They would have nothing to hide. They would have nothing to fear. They did nothing wrong, right? But they also said that the shoestrings were destroyed and or missing. This next article is from THV11.com, and it states Damien Echols says the prosecutor is refusing to cooperate with new DNA testing. Damien Echols' defense team is quoted as saying, they waited 18 months from the time the former prosecutor agreed to allow us to test this as evidence. It's outrageous. Why in the world, after 18 months to find this evidence, would the prosecutor ask us to go through this formality when it's unnecessary? I'll tell you why. Because they're scared, because they know they did wrong. Damien Echols tweeted out on January 18th, 2022, the prosecutor in Arkansas has refused to cooperate with new DNA testing. He says if we want it done, we'll have to fight it in court. He plans to attempt to stall or prevent it from happening every step of the way. A member of Damien Echols' legal team stated, we are planning to move ahead and test this evidence using the DNA technology available to hopefully identify the real killers of the 3 children in 1993 and exonerate the West Memphis 3. You think the West Memphis Police Department would want to get this evidence tested as well? To, 1, find the real killers, or in their mind, to prove that the West Memphis 3 did it. If they think that the West Memphis 3 is 100% guilty, why aren't they jumping at testing this evidence? Why are they so scared? Is it because they know it's going to come back and have nothing to do with the 3 people that they falsely incarcerated for all those years, and it's going to prove that they did wrong? It's going to prove that what they did, how they did, was all done incorrectly, and they falsely imprisoned these 3 innocent boys in 1994. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just jump at the chance to get this stuff tested? Now, yesterday on Twitter, they posted what appears to be the first page of the court document filed. I'll put it up on the screen for you, and I'll read it out to you here now as well. It states, Damien Echols moves this court to permit new scientific testing of certain evidence in this case. The scientific testing proposed is a new DNA collection technology called the MVAC wet vacuum system, which was unavailable at the time of prior DNA testing done in this case. The evidence proposed to be collected and tested with the aid of this new technology are the shoestrings used to bind the child victims into this case. As grounds for this petition, Damien Echols asserts the following. Echols was one of the 3 teenagers tried and convicted of killing 3 young boys in the infamous West Memphis 3 case. Echols was sentenced to death as a result of his murder convictions. Throughout the proceedings, Echols and his co-defendants maintained their innocence of the crimes. That's the newest updates in the West Memphis 3 case. Now, there's still, for some reason, people out there that doubt the innocence of these 3 boys, which you're never going to, it doesn't matter how much you prove someone's innocence, there's always going to be doubters. But have you thought of the fact that why Damien Echols is still pushing for all this evidence to be tested? It's because he's innocent. He would be absolutely insane to pursue DNA testing on evidence if he was guilty. It would be the most ridiculous thing ever if someone that was guilty got out of prison and continued to fight for their innocence if they were guilty. If you're guilty and somehow got out of prison, you're going to leave this case so far behind and hope it never gets mentioned ever again. But no, Damien is fighting for evidence to be tested, DNA testing, which could easily prove that he was guilty if he had anything to do with it. So that is how you know these boys had absolutely nothing to do with these crimes. It would be insane to get DNA testing done on items if you were guilty. Like, it's just common sense. I don't know. I sure hope that the shoestrings get tested and any of the other evidence gets tested. I sure hope the West Memphis Police Department gets held accountable for what they did, taking all these years away from these 3 boys. Somebody needs to be held accountable for the crime that actually took place in 1993. It's gotta happen. It has to happen. There's too many situations where people are getting away with murder while the innocent people are incarcerated for the crime. Something has to change. Like I said, all of Damien Echols' information is linked in the description below, so make sure you give him a follow. Make sure you show him some support, and the source information is linked in the description as well. Hope you're all having a great day. I'll see you again soon.